Dorothy Liebes was an American textile artist known as the mother of modern weaving and had a style that involved bright color combinations and interesting textures. She taught herself how to weave initially, but also later studied weaving at Hull House in Chicago and visited Guatemala, Mexico, France, and Italy to learn the traditional methods of weaving. Liebes designed textiles for interiors of many famous architects, like Frank Lloyd Wright, along with commercial projects for airplanes, theaters, and hotels. Let's get started on making our own weaving. Begin by making the loom. On your piece of tag board, you can go ahead and start making the overall shape of an animal that you would like to create. The idea sheet in the back might help you as you begin drawing out your shapes. Now that I've got some of my ideas drawn in pencil, you'll notice I draw it nice and lightly, and then I might darken it up a little bit until I've got it right. Now, once I've got my overall shape that I wanted to use in my project, I'm going to go ahead and either cut off the corners or cut out the overall shape that I want to use for my project. There. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a black Sharpie and start to fill in or color or make those pencil lines really stand out. So take your Sharpie. I like to use the side of my Sharpie just to give it a nice thicker black line look. But I also felt like after I drew mine and colored mine, I went over it with black oil pastel too. So don't spend a lot of time with your Sharpie because I'm going to encourage you to use oil pastels in this project also, just so that it gives that textural or three-dimensional or maybe just a little bit more interest as the overall look. Using my marker, you can color in as well as add textures into your project. There, now I'm going to go ahead and grab my oil pastels, and like I said, this is going to make that black line really stand out. The white really makes it look like highlights and makes this project start to look a little bit more 3D. I really like the way that this is starting to look with that dark, thick oil pastel. Now that I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and move into making the rest of my loom. I'm going to cut out small little triangles from both the left side and the right side of my project. These little triangles then are going to be used to hold the yarn in place. I'm trying to get the same amount as well as the same placement of triangles from one side to the other. Match them up the best that you can. Once I have my loom prepared and ready to go, let's get started on our weaving. To begin the weaving, I'm going to flip it over to the back side and place down 2 pieces of tape so that the yarn stays in place. Using those little notches, I'm going to take my yarn and weave that around to the front side of the project, like so. Again, tape it to the back side when you get all the way to the bottom and trim off any leftover. Great. Now let's go ahead and begin weaving. As I begin my weaving, I'm going to be taking some of my yarn pieces, and this is pretty thin yarn, so I went ahead and I took my yarn, wrapped it around my fingers to make a circle, and placed it through the circle, just like so. That's going to create a knot at the top of my project or the top of my weaving so that I can get a few more strands into the yarn at a time, just so that that thin yarn becomes thicker and I can create my weaving a little quicker. Now when you do your weaving, remember it's going to be over, under, and then in the next strip, look where you left off. If it's over, then start under. Over, under, weave that through. I'm going to continue this again and again until I run out of string. Once I've run out of string or once I've run out of yarn, then I'm going to place my second color of yarn attached to my first color of yarn. Let's take a look. Grabbing my next piece of yarn, I'm going to go ahead and tie that through or go through right below the knot so that it's already strung together. And then once again continue the over-under pattern. Over, under, and pull that through. I'll continue making my weaving by going over and under throughout this project. Now that we've got the overall concept of over, under, I'm going to speed it up quite a bit so that you can see this whole thing all together a little faster. I created a pattern with mine. You can do that if you'd like, or not. The choice is yours. With the leftover yarn, stick it through your notch and tape that down. I love the way this looks. Happy art making!